Welcome to the latest episode of 305 Vox Populi. I'm Mayor Manny Cid. We have a great guest today. Carlito Hernandez. Carlos Hernandez. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, bro.
Who you got? Argentina or France?
Bro,
we got to talk about that.
No. Listen, okay? We're all Latinos in Miami. Everybody, this is the first time in America that all Latinos are going to want to be Argentinian, okay? Every Latino has to be Argentinian from now on. That's who's representing us right now. O sea, che, boludo, todo el mundo tiene que ser argentino, ¿me entiendes? Whether you're Cuban, Colombian, like, that's who you're repping. France already won, like, 4 years ago. What are we doing? Like, we can have Argentina win. Messi will be the champion. Then he'll come to Miami. Inter Miami. That's the plan. It's in the books. I think that's what's going to happen.
Man, I think that's spot on. We need that on ESPN. Get that clip, Albert.
Clip it out there.
We're going to send it out.
Clip it out so that we have it before Sunday. And if they lose, then I love France so much, dude. I always said France was going to win the entire World Cup. I always said it.
Is that like
cut that out.
Some people feel like Miami fans are kind of like that, right? A little fickle sometimes.
Of course, we are, because we're just
right.
like, you know, we want what's gonna win. So whatever that is, we're gonna support.
That is true. Messi, I do hope Messi wins, man.
I think
for
so
his
too.
sake.
Yeah, I'm definitely a Messi fan.
So Carlos,
sure.
to
Yes.
you, you know, what's your why? When did you make that decision that you said, I want to make people happy. I want to make them laugh. I want to bring levity into this world that needs it, right? Especially now. We live in a very divided society where everybody's upset about this, about that, la política, no sé qué.
Mm-hmm. You would know for sure.
Exactly. And then you inject this type of levity. When did you make that decision? When did you say,
man, I think I always just, well, since growing up, that's what I always called out to me. Like, just like movies that make me laugh, shows that make me laugh, people that make me laugh were always like, I was always a huge fan of that, whether it was comedy movies with Robin Williams, Jim Carrey, or it was me watching like SNL, or me watching like just different like Matt TV or little sketches or things like that always called to me. I was always watching Comedy Central when I was like 12 years old. And even when I was like in Mexico.
Wait, you were watching Comedy Central when you were 12 years old?
I swear to God, the first comedy special I ever watched was George Carlin. And George Carlin is not apt for like even 17-year-olds shouldn't be watching George Carlin. Not because he's like curses too much, just he's too real. Like he's talking about like, oh, your mortality and stuff. But that was just calling out to me, and I barely even knew English. And I was watching George Carlin. I was like dying at this old man like complaining about the world and like the little things about it. And I always just like called out to me. Like, that was just like my thing. And I was like, this is what I want to do, because if that makes me happy, I want to be able to make somebody else happy by doing the same thing with my own experiences. So
when's that first time you made somebody laugh, or a group of people laugh?
I think it was in school for sure. Like even I grew up in Mexico. Like my parents were Cuban. They moved there. They had me there. So I was like a Cubanito in Mexico. So I was always like looked like this. They didn't look like the rest of like my classmates. And I would speak a little different because I had a Cuban accent because my parents raised me. So I was always like the funny kid in class, like Cubanito, etc. So that kind of always like was around, like just that I was a little different just in that aspect. And then I just always tried to resort to laughter without even knowing that I was doing that, or like making people just less uncomfortable by making them laugh. So.
And when did you know that you can make it a career and sustain yourself and move forward and do well?
I mean, I always wanted to do it. Like I took my first improv class, which was like doing like improvisational theater, which is a little different than like stand-up. And I took that class like while I was going to college. Like I was in FIU. I was 21 years old, and then I decided like I'm gonna take this class because I always this is like my dream. This is what I want to do. And I remember like just doing it in a sense that I was like, this is what I want to do as a career. And there was everybody else there in that class that was like doing it as a hobby. There were lawyers that needed to speak better, or they were just like, no one really cared about doing. I was the youngest guy in class, and I remember telling the teacher like that day, the first day of the improv class, I was like, hey, dude, like, I know this, everybody's like taking this like as almost like a hobby type of thing, but this is like what I want to make my life. So if you can help me out in any way, shape, or form, I would really appreciate it. And ever since he like noticed that, he took note of that, and I was just always trying to go above and beyond, asking for like feedback, asking for more and more and more that I could be doing. I was reading all these improv books, seeing how I could become the verse version of that, and I did, and I kept it going, and I kept pushing all while I was graduating like FIU. I graduated in 2016. I graduated my first improv like class, because there's 5 different levels at the school called Just a Funny. Shout out to them in Coral Gables. In 2017 is when I graduated from that. So I had graduated college, and then a few months after I graduated that, and in my mind, I was way more proud of graduating from like this tiny little improv school than I was of like a 4-year degree where I didn't really like love what I was like studying, you know? So, I mean, stay in school though, you know, like whatever you want, but just pick the right career for you. And I did that, and I always just kind of like just became obsessed with the idea of comedy. So I did it all the time. I taught improv. They asked me to teach my first improv class when I was 22, and I was teaching a bunch of like 30 and 40-year-olds like to do what I love. And it was just like something that fueled me that much harder, because I was like, now a leader in some way, shape, or form in this community so young. And then I just kept going and going. And then I started taking acting classes, and then I started just doing stand-up and getting a lot of opportunities and doing stuff online, doing stuff on TV. And then just because I kept working hard without even thinking like, when am I going to make it or whatever, I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And that's what I did. So now...
Man, but how awesome is that? Especially the lesson for young people, that you get to wake up every day and do something you love, right? And I think that's a huge lesson. You got to follow your passion and not focus so much on the success and money at first, right? And focus on just doing what you love. Yeah. And the money and the success will come.
They will, for sure, yeah.
But how does that feel? How do you, looking back now from cracking some jokes in school and looking back and saying, you know what, I wake up every day and I get to do something awesome. I get to make somebody's life that much better. I mean, you heard it. One of our staffers here in Miami Lakes, he heard you were coming in. He's like, man, I gotta say hi to him, because every time I open up the Instagram, I see he makes me laugh every single. And you don't even know who he is. Like you guys just met, right? How cool does that feel?
It's a great feeling, just because I'm no like Mario Ramil, but it's a great feeling that's like to be able to wake up and have that like someone that can look at a video that I made, that it was like me being silly or me doing stand-up or me interviewing somebody, and I'm just like trying to make that person happy, trying to make just one person happy that likes the video and comments on it, for that to be translated to like real life, like that guy just like, hey dude, I love your stuff, and him knowing like things about what I've done, like very specific, is like, it's a little creepy, but it's also like, it's super rewarding, because like now that guy can show that picture to like his kid, his wife, and then like that makes them happy just because they met me because of a video that they might have liked that they saw me in, or a show that I did. So by like osmosis, I'm just making that many more people happy without me just not worrying about me, just telling you what I think is funny, and like going out and just putting that into the world. It's super rewarding that you don't even realize that that's what's happening while you're in the middle of the grind or doing it, you know?
That's awesome.
So, and I'm still on it. Yeah.
God is good. So quick story for the folks watching at home. The first time I met Carlos, we're friends now.
Yeah.
But I get a call from a bunch of Miami Lakes residents, and they're like, man.
I also like how like Miami Lakes residents just have your number.
Yeah, yeah. 786-759-9207.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. I would never get my number like that.
No.
That's insane, dude. Don't do that, kids.
Don't do that. Don't do it. But
only because he's the mayor.
Yeah, 100%. I start getting calls from all over the place. People are like, Mayor, Miami Lakes is being talked about on the national scene. What's who's this guy Yuris Bell? Like, he's killing it on American Idol.
Yeah, dude.
And I'm like, wait a second. I don't know this dude. Let me see what's up. So I start researching. I kind of know most of our residents, or we're connected in some
way, shape, or form.
And I couldn't figure it out. And then I remember one of the radio hosts reaches out to me. He's like, hey, you want to meet Yuris Bell? I'm like, yeah, I want to meet Yuris Bell. He's putting Miami Lakes on the map, you know? And I remember we met in front of Chelas.
Chelas, the opening.
The day we cut the ribbon, and you were right there.
I cut the ribbon. Well, Yuris Bell cut the ribbon.
Yuris Bell cut the ribbon.
Yeah, dude. That was one of the most insane things I've done. And it was early in like the hype of like just like kind of where I am right now with like the social media stuff. So it was like a great like intro to me to that. But it was cool because I did it like as a character. Like it wasn't me, but I was doing a character that like is so dear to me that I created, which is just like this Cuban reggaetonero guy that like, you know, it's just like a more Cuban version of myself, or like anybody's like Cuban uncle. Definitely this guy's Cuban uncle that just came from Cuba, for sure.
Think about how far he took that. We even gave him a cow signed by the entire city council.
Yeah. No, that was wild. I did that literally because in the pandemic I was so bored that I was just like kind of doing whatever and posting videos and going live. I only had like 2,000 followers on my Instagram, so I didn't really care. And I had a friend that was a casting director for American Idol. Shout out to Josh Randall. He's like doing great things. He's going to be the next Ryan Seacrest for sure. Like definitely.
That is
But
awesome.
this guy's like a casting producer in the show, also a friend, also a comedian, also a host, someone that I consider a peer as well. And now he got this job as a casting producer for the show. And he's like, hey, dude, I need like TV funny moments. Like, I feel like you could do something. I've seen you do musical improv. I've seen you do this. Like, what can you do? And I was like, I don't know, bro. Let me think about it for like 2 days, and then I'll hit you with something. So I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to go as myself because I don't want to embarrass myself because I actually don't know how to sing. So I'm going to do something that I could do it like, can I do it as a character? And he's like, yeah, figure it out. So I had this character that I was doing in that improv school at Just Funny in this game that we call Love Machine, which is basically a game to showcase characters, or which is like they pick a random member from the audience, and then these 3 random characters, which are the actors, go and try to get a date with like an audience member. And it's like Yuri's Bell was one of those characters that I used to play, which is just like this like Cuban reggaetonero, very like obnoxious, big loud chains, lives in Hialeah, like, you know, like big gold. Everything was gold. Everything was fake. Everything was too tight. Like that was who Yuri's Bell was. So I did that character, and it was just, I was like, okay, I can do this character on the show, just singing like, you know, reggaeton songs or something. I don't think anybody's really ever done that on a show like American Idol.
Fireball.
Fireball. By Pitbull. Yeah. Which is not really a reggaeton song, but it's like a Latin pop song. So I actually did 3 different songs. I did Mia by Bad Bunny and Drake. I did what was the other one? Oh my God, another Bad Bunny song, and no, Mi Gente by J Balvin, and then Fireball by Pitbull. And then they loved the Fireball one. So I did, he was like, okay, I love this. I'm going to show it to like the casting producers. I'm going to send you in a Zoom audition, because this is in 2020. I think October, November of 2020. And I did it. I did the Zoom auditions as the character. I never once said my name was Carlos. Me and him were both like, we're going to go into this as Yuri's Bell. You're not Carlos. From the get-go, I was like, okay, I'm just going to go method on this and like be like Borat. And just like go into it with like, I'm just Yuri's Bell. And I talk like this in the interview, and they would ask me questions like, hey, where you from? They were like, oh, where you from? And I was like, oh, I'm from Cuba. My grandma, she used to be a singer in Cuba. I'm trying to leave her legacy, you know, like things like that. And I did it in my garage with my dog just running around, and like boxes, and made it look very like rustic, like if I was living in an efficiency or something. And it was just my parents' garage. And I did it, and they loved it. Like they just like were laughing, but it was also like entertaining. I did like I pretended to do like a choreography for like the dances, and it was great. And I did that, and I stayed on the Zoom for like 6 hours because I had to speak to different producers, different like lawyers, all this other stuff. And they're like, okay, we want to bring you in front of Katy Perry, Lionel Richie, Luke Bryan, Ryan Seacrest. You're gonna go to California and do the audition. And I was like, okay, great. I get to California. This is like December, so 2 years ago. I get there. I fly in character. I went with my buddy. His name is Albie Dominguez, great comedian from Miami, and we used to do improv together. I was like, dude, I need like, because they told me I could bring a +1, and I could have brought like my family, which was gonna fuck up or mess up the prank.
What is that? Is
that a Beep. 1? That's 1. That's 1. That's just my 1. My family would, because like, you know, if I brought like my mom or my dad, like my dad would like not, it would have just not, it would have been a mess. So I brought in my friend who's like also a comedian and actor, and I was like, just pretend to be my manager, and it'll make it that much funnier. He came with me, and as soon as we got there, there's like kids like kids like them, like you guys, just like your age, that are on TikTok, like trying to live their dream. Like they're like singing Adele songs and these beautiful like Harry Styles songs, and I'm there like with like my like big ass like Party City chain, going out there and like singing Pitbull like Fireball, you know what I mean? And I went, it was like a week that we had to stay there because it was like COVID, so we had to stay there for 3 days without doing anything. And then we had to do like everything was very controlled because of COVID. I even took a COVID test as Yuri's Bell. Like I put Yuri's Bell as a thing just so they wouldn't get me. And I have no idea. I don't want to have any conspiracies, but somehow they accept it, the Yuri's Bell thing, even though Yuri's Bell is not a real person. So just gonna throw that out there. And that happened. And I went, and then it was the 5th day, and now I had to go in front of the judges. And everybody's like super nervous. Everybody's like, oh my God, I'm going crazy. And I was just like, I'm gonna mess around with these people and see what happens. Like I really just like practice my dance, practice my song, and the rest was history. I was just gonna improvise with the judges. I went into that audition room, and the first thing they said to me was, bring the energy. You got this. One of the producers. And I went in, I opened the doors and I was like, que hola mi gente. And from the get-go, it was like high energy, like from the top. They were asking me questions. I was answering like super like confident. Yeah. And they were just loving it. Like the accent, the whole thing. And then it came time to sing. I sang Fireball. And it was a wrap. I like got Luke Bryan to stand up and start dancing, start twerking in the middle of the whole thing. It was ridiculous. And then we're getting there. They're saying like, there's no way in hell that I was gonna go through because I didn't have a good voice. I'm nothing. Like I was just like a joke, clearly. And then I don't know if they actually believed that I was like a real person or not. I don't want to like praise my acting skills that much, but supposedly they believed it to the level that they were gonna let me through. And they were going through the decisions, and they're like, okay, who's going to say yes? Who's going to say no? Or whatever. I thought everybody was going to say no. Luke Bryan, then he is telling me, like, you know, I like your style. I like where you're going. I like everything about you. Yes. And I was like, yes. Really? Like, I literally said, really? And then they get to Katy Perry, and she's like, you know, I really like everything you're doing, but I don't think America will trust me if I say yes, so I have to say no. And I literally was like, but why, mama? And then it just like, it naturally came out of me and it became like a phrase that everybody like, it went super viral, that phrase alone. And then I get to Lionel Richie and he's like, you know, I like everything you're doing for the kids. I feel like the kids are going to connect to this in a way that they could never connect to before. So yes. And I was like, that's 2 yeses and a no. I'm going to go through to Hollywood. And they're like, you're going through to Hollywood. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm like going crazy. And then I had to go back to Hollywood the next like year and do the whole thing and have another song. And I performed at the Dolby Theater where like the Oscars are. And then from then, like I got cut, obviously. But it was an insane experience. And when they asked me where I was from, I could have said Miami. I could have said Hialeah, but I knew America wasn't going to pronounce Hialeah, and I didn't want to be basic and say Miami, so I said Miami Lakes, where I was actually from.
Miami Lakes?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
so that was the whole story there.
So that story, what a lot of people don't see was the time, the preparation, just the grind behind the scenes just to get there. But that's the story overall of what you do every day. So if you can give us a sneak peek.
Sure.
Just maybe the preparation there, but overall what you do every day to prepare, because people think that you wake up, hang out, and just, you know,
go to the show.
Yeah, go to the show. No. You got to work on your craft.
Oh, yeah.
Sharpen your tools every single day to be where you're at and to continue to go where you're going to go.
You have to. You have to take your passion as professional as you would as you have a real job.
Give us that sneak peek.
And it's hard to learn that. I used to have a day job. I had a day job for years. Like, I went to school to FIU to study IT, or the program was in the business program called Management Information Systems, and I had a minor in cybersecurity. I did it because I was just like, my parents did IT forever. I was like, this makes sense. I used to mess with computers a lot, and I was like, okay. But I never was passionate about it. I never really fueled it as my passion. I was just like, this is just, I'm going through the motions. It is what it is. I'm taking these improv classes, and I know something's going to give. So I did that, and I kind of just kept the job. I got a job right out of college, really good paying job. I was just 21, 22, and I was getting paid like $70,000 a year. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, I can't believe this. And I stayed in that job forever. And it was all the way in Fort Lauderdale. I had to travel all the time for it while I was taking these improv classes. But while I was working, I was like also like writing, or I was like on like watching videos or like comedians, or like just really not really focused at work. But I just kept it going, and I did it. And the pandemic happened, and I stayed with the job, and we started working remote. So I worked remote for all of 2020, all of 2021, and then I got a promotion at the job while I was working remote during 2021, like last year, like around this time, I got a promotion. And I was like, I could either take it or it's going to be harder. And I took it because it was more money, and I was like, let me take this opportunity. I took the opportunity. I worked remote. While I'm doing all this stuff that I'm talking about, I'm going to California to do all this, to do American Idol. I'm doing this, I'm filming that, I'm doing shows, I'm selling out this, I'm doing out that, while I still had a real 9-to-5 that I had to care for, that now I had way more responsibility to do. And I kept doing it, and then it got to the point that it was way too much, and I had to make a decision because it was literally grueling, and it was just like, I couldn't be as creative as I could be while having this job. And it had been a long time coming that I should have cut the cord. So I had a decision to make, and I quit the job like 4 months ago. And I had to be like, if I'm doing that, I now not only will I obviously have to make that much more money by doing what I'm doing, which is now what I'm doing about all this other stuff, and we'll talk about all this stuff that is coming up too. But I had to also now take all what I'm doing more seriously. So I would always wake up every time I would wake up, and I still do this. I wake up, I meditate for 10 minutes, just like quiet outside in my backyard. I just put on like literally like all these apps called like Calm or Headspace. I use Calm now, and I just put on just let the guy talk to me. I meditate. I close my eyes, and then after that, for 30 minutes tops. I don't do it for longer than that because then it just gets a little jumbled. 30 minutes, I just start writing. Like I got a notepad and I start writing. Sometimes it's crap. It's just to let like, like the toothpaste when it's like a little bit like crusty and you want to like get the good toothpaste, just get that crusty stuff out and then just something good will come out of it. I write. And then I look at it. I scratch out a bunch of stuff and then like get like 3 or 4 jokes from it that I can later say that night. And then I finish that. I go to the gym, come back, and then I go through videos, whether it's for Onlyindade or it's for me, and I start editing and chopping. Like I try to post 2 videos a week, at least for my own page, and then for Onlyindade, 1 video a week. That's like my original content, which is the interviews and the on-the-spot stuff. I do that. I caught up. And now that I have more time, I do it a lot more. I'm an actor, so I get auditions all the time. So I also film some auditions, go out, send them out, do it from my little studio that I have in my house. Film it, send it, do that. Then I'll probably have some sort of a meeting for Onlyindade, do that. Then have to go back, shower, and then I'll probably have a show around 7 or 8. Go to the show, and it's usually more than one show that I have. So I go to the one show, then I go to the other show, and maybe there's like a networking event or some Onlyindade thing that I have to go do interviews for, like Vibra Urbana that happened this weekend, or Art Basel that happened the weekend before, or things like that come up because Miami has events all the time, and Onlyindade kind of does that and focusing on these events and reporting it and like bringing that type of like energy to show how that event was like. So all that stuff happens, and it's usually like in a day that I do a version of that in every other day. Yeah.
Oh, we appreciate you sharing some of that behind the scenes because I think kids and even grown-ups can appreciate the grind, man, what it takes to get to where you're at.
Yeah,
and before I hand it over to the kids, they got some questions for you.
Love it.
One final one, not a final one for me, but before we get there.
Sure.
So what's the future, man? You talked about it real quick. You touched upon it, but what is that future for Carlos? What are you working on? Where do you want to be? What is going forward? Where you at?
Right now I'm working on just getting as much material out as I can. I have about an hour or 2 hours of material like good. I want to be able to start putting out long form content, whether it's a small special or 30 minutes to an hour. I want to start putting that out and producing it and hopefully pitching it to the streaming services or things like that. And to the point that I'm able to, not only that's one goal, but being able to just keep on growing on a national level with my social media and just my comedy. So be able to travel that much more. Like obviously Miami, I know I love you guys and I have it on lock, but I want to be able to like go to New York, LA, which I have connections in, and just be able to tour throughout the country, which is like the goal. So whether that's getting signed to an agency for comedy or in general, doing that to the point that I can tour, keep making more and more content around that in a way that it's like I'm able to just not only be a Miami comedian, but just a nationally touring comedian to the point that I'll get that Netflix special or that show, whether it's a talk show, whether it's a special, whether it's anything like that. That's the goal for me. Keep on pushing, keep on touring, keep on working, and eventually have my own show, eventually keep on recording movies. I just finished recording a feature film, my first feature film. It's a comedy. It's going to be on a streaming service that I can't say yet, but it was very well made. The writing's amazing. We just finished wrapping for this month. We're going to start filming again after the holidays. I have a pretty good role in it, which I'm very happy about, that I auditioned for like through 4 months of it. And I'm very excited for it. It should be pretty cool. So that's one thing that's coming up, but everything else also, but the way that comedy works nowadays is just like, you kind of can like just throw your shot everywhere and something will come out of it. So just staying focused and keep it going so that it's not, and putting Miami in a national scale, like
awesome,
it should
bro.
be, Yeah.
Representing
or Miami Lakes specifically.
Miami Lakes, man. Miami Lakes all day. What do you guys got for Carlos?
My boy pulled out his notes app on the phone. I like it. What's up?
As a young person, like where influence is taking a big role in society, What is the revenue structure like?
What is the what?
Revenue structure.
The revenue structure.
Yeah.
This is always the hardest question when they ask this. Like when we went to the school, I feel like that's like the one question they're like, yeah, but how much money you make though?
Dinero.
Let me explain that. So as a comedian, like what's the revenue structure? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Or you're asking how much money I
as
make?
an influencer.
As an influencer. So I apart from doing comedy and apart from doing all that, obviously because of the like social media platform that I have, I do get a lot of opportunities to do like sponsorships and stuff like that. Like I've worked with Red Bull, I've worked with the Latin Grammys, I've worked with a bunch of different companies, Sedanos, BK, all these like local companies and also national companies as well. And usually what happens is I would get 1 or 2 of those partnerships every month. And that's what I'm trying to do now too with my deck and everything I'm doing. And that usually works like if you do like a story post or a feed post, they'll pay you a certain amount of money to do that. And then plus the shows that I do that I get paid every single time that I do a show, whether it's at the Improv or a private show, etc. Plus hosting events and doing the social media content for that aspect. That's how that's sort of like split up. So it'll be just through content on your story, content on your feed post, also the content that I'm doing on Onlyindade, plus the things that I'm doing like the movie or recording that or recording a show or going out and hosting an event for like I'm hosting like Bacardi's like official like Christmas party, Coquito Challenge this Monday. So things like that, that's usually like where the revenue comes in. And because I don't have like my day job now that I used to have, I'm able to just find more opportunities that I didn't even have time to think about while I had the job before. So, yeah. Does that answer it? Or do you want a number? I can't give you the number.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, cool.
And is it realistic to like make a living out of?
Is it what?
Is it realistic to make a living out of that with no added income?
With no added, is it realistic? Well, I hope so because I need to pay my rent. So it is realistic nowadays. Because back in the day, it was like shooting like blanks whenever you did it because there was no social media or like you kind of just had. Even when I was doing improv, just improv, like there really was the only way to really make it was maybe move to LA, then take some improv classes, then be one of the bunch, and then hope that some producer or someone likes you enough to show you to an agent, to that agent show you to this show or to this and all that stuff, which is still something that needs to be done. Like I don't plan on living in Miami forever. I need to get out of here to really make myself known. But if I didn't have the social media presence that I have or the support that I have from a platform like the one that I'm a part of, it would be incredibly harder to do what I'm doing. I'm very lucky to be able to be in the position that I'm in while doing comedy because it's not easy. But if you put work to it and you learn editing and you are able to you're basically your own entrepreneur when you're like a comedian or influencer, however you want to call it. You got to learn how to edit. You got to make sure that the quality is good. You got to make sure that everything, that the engagement is there, that you're putting out good work, that you're regular about when you're doing it. So it's not easy, but it's definitely doable. It's doable. So if you guys are interested in doing it, it's not impossible. And I know a lot of people that do it that just started with nothing. So, but yeah. Does that answer it?
Yeah.
Cool. What's your name?
Matthew.
Thank you, Matthew. Appreciate it. Are you trying to be an influencer too?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think it's cool, like what you do, like you could like make money from like Instagram.
Yeah.
I think
Instagram also pays you now too. Do it for like reels. Like every month I made like $300-400 just from like posting. TikTok too. YouTube now does that too. So what type of influencer are you trying to do? Are you trying to be funny or are you trying to be like
I'm trying to be like, I don't know, like funny would be cool.
funny but be cool? Okay.
Something along those lines.
Okay. You look like a soccer player, so I feel like you should stick to just doing. No, I'm kidding. What was your question?
Okay, so my question is, what is the craziest thing you've seen or experienced while being a moderator of your Onlyindade Instagram?
Oof, the craziest thing. We just posted like the craziest video that I've seen on the page in a while, which is like this guy getting run over while he's like fixing like what is that, una cantarilla? Bro, I saw that video when we got it and it was insane. I don't think I've been that like shocked at a video. Even if like we got crazy stuff, but that I was like, oh, like it got a really good reaction out of me. I mean, and that's one of them. And a part of like the things I've done, like just like going out on the street, my favorite interview, and she actually just tagged me on it. I don't know what the reason for it, but she just posted again, and I'm gonna post it on my story on my own on the Carlos page, CAHRLOS. It's this girl that I interviewed at Ultra earlier this year, and I cannot even describe how funny and random that interview was, because so many people just like kept interrupting it, and she was just like a mess, but like a beautiful mess, like this like chaotic energy that I was just like in shock and awe, and I was so like happy that we were able to get that and put it out there. So the ultra interview of that, when it comes to like my own interviews and like as far as content, that thing we posted literally like 2 hours ago was incredibly shocking. Like this guy almost got run over because the guy thought it was a parking cone. I don't really know what the situation was, but the Escalade definitely rammed. Yeah. What was your name?
My name is Haley.
Haley. Thank you, Haley. Are you trying to be an influencer too?
No, I want to be a doctor.
Okay.
A pediatrician.
Yeah, that's better. That's good. Yeah, that's good. Do honorable work, unlike this guy. Okay. Thank you, Haley. Anybody else?
I have a question.
Ask me.
The whole Onlyindade
Mm-hmm.
started.
How did Onlyindade start?
How did it come to you?
Well, I started on Onlyindade about 2 years ago, ironically. Literally 2 years ago today. My birthday is on Sunday. I started working for Onlyindade on my birthday.
Happy early birthday.
Thank you. That's all I wanted from you. No, I started working. I swear to God, I was... the reason I got discovered on Onlyindade was I did a video where I was doing a bunch of different Spanish accents. I was doing like, I've always known how to do accents, the Latin accents, because I'm around a lot of Latin people. There you go. Are you Cuban?
Yeah, I'm Cuban.
There, I could tell. But I'm Cuban as well, but I was born in Mexico. My first girlfriend was Colombian. I dealt with like a family of Colombians. My cousins are Venezuelan because they went, instead of Mexico, the Cubans went to Venezuela in my family. My sister's boyfriend, now fiance, now husband actually, is Argentinian. So all these like accents have been around me forever. And I was just like I was with my sister, her boyfriend, and a girl that I was like kind of on a date with, and she like took a video. She was like, "Oh, can you do like accents?" And I was like, "I think so." And she took a video of me doing all these different accents, and I posted it on TikTok, and it has like 7 million views on TikTok of me just doing these accents. And then Onlyindade saw it, and I was sort of a fan of Onlyindade, but I didn't really think much of Onlyindade at the time. I think Onlyindade had like 300,000 followers or something like that. They posted it, and I was like, "Oh my God, I made it!" Like I literally felt like I made it in like the world, like all that I was working towards, just because I made it on Onlyindade. Even if I wasn't American Idol, like that same exact time, I was like, "Oh my God, it's happening!" And they posted the video, and it was like one of the most viral videos of that year of 2020 that they had posted. I got so many comments. I got a bunch of followers from it on my own page, and then after that, because they saw the success of that, the owner of Onlyindade hit me up, and he was like, "Hey, listen, like, I like what you're doing. I've seen your stuff before." I had also done like a commercial with Pitbull like earlier that year, and I had tagged them, and they had started following me because of that commercial. And yeah, ever since he was like, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "I think we should do more like on the street interviews. Like we're not really doing that. I'm like good with like people. I could do like good crowd work because of my improv and stand up. I think it could be good." And no one's really doing it. The only thing that was being done was the recaps by Marcelo, who's now on SNL, which is amazing. And he was just doing the recaps and like croqueta reviews is like the original content that we were doing. And that was in June of 2020 that they started that. I joined in December. And the first time that I went out to do interviews was December 17th. And it went into the night, and it turned 12, and it was my birthday, and I was just like interviewing like drunk people in Wynwood. So yeah, that's when I started joining, and ever since I've been interviewing drunk people on Wynwood or at Ultra or Viva Urbana or Rolling Loud, and also celebrities like, you know, Anita, Rosalia, Satch, J Balvin this weekend. So it's been a pretty cool experience to be a part of it so far. But yeah, I didn't start the page. People look at my face and they're like, "Did you start Onlyindade?" I didn't. I'm just a part of that oiled machine. Not well oiled, but just oiled machine that goes through. And somehow we've got it now verified, have 1 million followers. We're known throughout. I went to Puerto Rico recently, and somebody recognized me from the page, and I was like, this is like known in other places that are not Miami, which is cool. So yeah, I'm super grateful for that opportunity and for that.
But that opportunity happens because you bet on yourself, right?
True.
Making a decision to go from being where you were comfortable to uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So the question that he asked about the income, you got to wake up every day and grind. You got to create.
Literally.
You got to create your own energy.
Yeah.
There's no guaranteed income there. So you got to create, which is awesome. But it has allowed you to grow where you're at today. So kudos.
Thank you, man.
For that, for betting on yourself.
You have to bet on yourself. If you don't bet on yourself, who will?
You're absolutely right.
Literally.
So you touched upon what allowed it to, that first viral hit real quick, I need everybody's help here. So, give me name one Latin American country, one country in South America or Central America.
Okay.
Just start.
Huh?
Brazil.
Brazil. Oh,
No,
he
but,
screwed me with that.
No,
one.
that's portugués. Hablan español.
Obrigado, sou la casa embarazado. Vou dar la sambosoda. I didn't say any words. That was just how Portuguese sounds to me. ¿Ah? Colombia. ¿Qué parte de Colombia? La parte de Medellín. Porque la gente de Medellín hablan diferente que la parte de Bogotá, porque Bogotá hablan así como más pegado, pero en Medellín hablan más cantado, ¿me entiendes? ¿Alguien soy colombiano aquí? Uy, usted también habla colombiano. ¿Qué parte es usted? Ay, huevón, mira que estoy de Bogotá, mira qué bien.
We got any other countries?
Peru. All I know how to do in Peru is like, ¿qué pasa el desgraciado, señorita Laura? That's all I really know how to do in Peru. Keep it going. Shoot 'em out, shoot 'em out, shoot 'em out. Boludo, si no ganamos este domingo, la verdad no sé qué van a hacer los argentinos, porque la reconcha de su madre que se están metiendo en la cabeza si no gana Messi, la verdad no sé qué van a hacer, se van a cortar las venas, ¿me entiendes? Pana, es que el venezolano es así medio parecido como el colombiano, pero no es tan no es igual, pero es diferente, ¿me entiendes? Porque, chamo, la gente en Venezuela hablan así como bien cantado, pero se le entiende muchas cosas porque hablan así y ahora todo el mundo en Miami, como viven en el Doral, todo el mundo escucha este acentico, como si quisieran comerse una arepita. Es como comerse una arepita que está muy caliente, hace así, y hablan así todo el tiempo, ¿sí me entiendes? Chile. It's like very Argentina. It's almost like Argentina. Huevón, las cositas que están pasando aquí en Chile. That's how they do everything's like, it's like, Uruguay? I would just speak Argentinian if I was doing that.
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico, la verdad, mira, me encanta Puerto Rico porque la gente de Puerto Rico hablan así y te hablan tan lindo y todo en Puerto Rico lo hacen como cute. Se miren en hito. Todo en Puerto Rico es cosito, los chachitos, que donde vamos los muchachitos, vamos para allá al avioncito a comer chiquito, everything's
Y los
hito,
cubanos,
hito.
y los cubanos.
Y los cubanos, ¿me entiendes? Hablan así como si tuvieran una papa en la boca, ¿me entiendes? Algo así como que están comiendo en medio de la comida. Todo es guapería. DR, we can do DR.
Dominican Republic, no.
We have to do DR and then he has to close the show as Judy Vélez.
Oh, yeah. We'll have him do it.
DR?
All right, Dominican Republic.
Los dominicanos te hablan así, como si los dominicanos, Calmera, a mí me gusta la República Dominicana porque te hablan así muy rápido, tú no lo entiendes mucho lo que estás diciendo porque todo suena así como si fuera ¿me entiendes?
Ay. Hey,
Yeah, buddy.
real quick before we
Yes.
close it out, any questions you got for me? We kind of turn it around. We give
Yeah,
the
man.
show
What is
yours.
Miami Lake's going to give me the key to the city? That's all I want.
And he put me on the.
He's
Oh, we
like,
get-
no,
we
it's all good. You gave me the cow.
We gave you the cow.
All right, I'll keep it going. I'll keep
We'll
working.
make- we'll make it
If
happen. We'll
Mario
make-
gets it before me, I'm going to be pissed. There can only be one Miami Lakes comedian. No, I'm kidding.
We'll make it happen. We'll make it
we'll
happen.
do a double kick.
We'll
Yeah,
make it
yeah.
happen. We'll make it happen. We got a double kick. No, we appreciate you coming on, man.
Anytime,
So
man. Thank you.
any words of inspiration in closing, motivation, just for the youth? They heard your
Sure.
story.
Yeah,
They hear the grind. They see the content. But I think especially that bet on yourself,
Yeah,
incredibly powerful.
it is. Yeah.
And it's tough because it's a gut check saying, man, I'm going to give up my job that pays me well, has all these benefits, does
Yup.
this, does that,
Yeah.
get
I
vacations.
just signed up for Florida Blue, so like we're out here, dude. We out here. We're out here.
So, but making that bet, man, that is so, and that's a story that doesn't get told through social media.
No,
So I
and honestly, no one even knew that I had a day job. It was a very hidden thing when I had it, and I was always so ashamed of having one because I'm like, I'm supposed to be playing this role of like, I am a comedian, I am an influencer, I am an actor, I am living my dream. How could I be doing that while I still have this like thing that's like hurting me and making me like sad and depressed, or like I have like a weight on my shoulder that I can't get rid of just because I can't just be like cut that cord and just fully bet on myself. It's like half betting on yourself. You got to go all in. You know what I mean? So I think for anybody listening that's young and you guys, bet on yourselves, and there's no excuse nowadays. If you, whatever you want to do, it's out there, it's available, the internet, YouTube, all that stuff. But if you do want to do social media, if you do want to make money doing this, if you do want to become a comedian, an actor, the time is now. There is no limit for how young you can be to start doing something. And time goes by fast, and you never know when you're going to make it or when you're going to get that break. You could be 17, 18, 20, 27, 37, and you just keep working hard because you never know what's going to come out of it. So keep working, keep at it. trust yourself, bet on yourself, and call your mom once in a while as well.
That is true. That is true. So there you have it, Carlos Hernandez, the future. Oh, you're right. Wait a second.
You want Yuri's bell to come?
Lo tiene que cerrar.
I gotta
Should he do the sponsors too? You want him to do the sponsors?
I can do that. I can do that for you.
Cool with that?
Let me get Yuri.
Check the sponsors first. Make sure Yuri's best cool with him.
Dale. Que hola mi gente, ¿cómo estamos? Aquí estamos en el 305 Vox Populi podcast. Thank you to a sponsor, right? That's right. The number 1 sponsor is powered by Miami Lakes Auto Mall. Wow, you got Miami Lakes Auto Mall. Look at these guys. They got their GP. They got the little Mitsubishi. That look like his hair over here. Look at his hair right here. That's amazing. Look at that. Okay, we got Miami Lakes Auto Mall. Thank you to Fred Senra. That's the guy. That's the last. He sell you the car. Okay, it's on the 16600 Northwest 57th Avenue, Miami Lakes, Florida. And the phone number is 305-305-455-455-3510. Si tú quieres un carrito, llama a Fredcito. ¿Oíste? Si tú quieres un carrito, llama a Fredcito. No. Yeah. Okay, the second sponsor is the sponsor of the mural. Really beautiful thing. They made all the mural. They got all the different skin color. They got the white, the black guy, and they got the little, I don't know who this green guy, that guy is sick, the guy over here with the L, he had a green hand, I don't know where he from, but he looked like he had hepatitis C, so there's so much to check on that guy. The mural sponsor is Grisel ¿Cómo? Grisel Gagano Plus. That's her last name. You got a little plus sign there, okay? Get these guys to check. You guys not doing good work, okay? Contact her by text 786-353. 786-353-8608. Thank you very much. Make sure to change that color. It's a little weird. Okay, and the food. There's no food here, but the food is provided by Gauchos Gourmet Market of Miami Lake. A blurry logo over here. Let's get that logo a little bit better. A 7357 Miami Lakes Drive, Miami Lakes, 305-384-1334. Call that guy. Call Eddie. He's Eddie from Gauchos Gourmet. That's Argentina? Gauchos?
Sir.
Yeah. Boludo. ¿Me entiendes? Okay. And last, we're going to thank the film production students of the Matter Lakes Broadcasting Academy. Look at these guys. They've been on their phone the whole time. They have no question. They're not working, but they're going to be doctors and influencers. That's the only jobs left in 2023. Okay. Shout out to Miami Lakes Broadcasting. And last but not least, we're going to thank my good friend, my very good guy. Shout out to the rockcasters that are donated by Enrique Santo. I love me, this guy. That guy's so good. He has a good beard. His beard is actually a Lego. They just planted it onto Enrique. So shout out to the mics from Roadcaster. And shout out to Mayor Manny Cid and this guy, Ariel, the teacher over here. He's dressed really nice for what we have going on. You're dressed worse than him. I don't know why, even though you're on camera. Thank you to 305 Vox Populi podcast. Shout out to Yuri's Bell and shout out to Carlos Hernandez. That guy is a very funny guy. Miami New Times best comedian. He never mentioned it, but Yuri's Bell is gonna mention it. And we out here. Let's go.
And there you have it, Carlos Hernandez. The future is bright for this young man. Follow him on social media because he is going
CAHRLOS. CAHRLOS. Follow Onlyindade too, but if people always come up to me and they're like, hey, Onlyindade, I'm like, I have a name. I'm not a county. Follow me at CAHRLOS to get some comedy. I post my stand-up clips up there. I post my collabs that I do. I did a collab with Michael Rappaport recently. I'm doing cool stuff. Go out there, follow me. Check out the movie when it comes out. I'll let you guys know the name and the time and the dates whenever that is.
There you have it. Tune in next Wednesday on YouTube, Facebook,
Instagram,
and Twitter.
Oh, wow, dude. This guy.
Then.
Let's go. See you guys. Thank you.